What's going on, YouTube? Hope everyone's doing all right, man. Today's Saturday. I think it's August 21st. Let me take a look here. Yeah, August 21st. Saturday. Cheers, guys. Summer's coming to an end, unfortunately. Gotta enjoy the hot weather while you can. I just wanted to give y'all an update, man. I haven't been up to a whole lot as far as working on the car anyway. Really, I've been working on my house a lot. I've been doing a lot of can lighting recently, trying to get that knocked out and doing some painting and just a number of other things. I've just been putting my time in other places besides this car. And truthfully, I got pretty mad at the car last time I was messing with it, so I was like, I'm going to take a break because I know it's not going to go well if I just keep chugging along the way I was going. So I decided to pause and take a break. But anyway, if you got a beer, cheers. If you don't, go grab one. You might as well. It's Saturday, man. So anyway, what have I been up to, man? Like I said, I've been working on the house a lot, but as far as what I've been up to on the car, my Moroso oil pan did come in. You guys can see it, and I absolutely destroyed it. So you're probably wondering why this pan looks like this. And this is what mistakes look like, guys. And it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. As long as you don't make the same mistake twice, right? But this was a pretty expensive oil pan, and I was trying to make it fit, and you can see I've heated it up and beat it with a hammer, and just it was just a bad decision, and it got worse with time. So, and I didn't stop. I just kept trying. So eventually I stopped, obviously, and you kind of have to realize you don't have the right tool for the job. So or you're going down the wrong path, right? So when you're doing these builds like this or doing anything, really, just it's important to keep that in mind. If you're doing something that ain't working, maybe give it another try, and if it ain't working at that point, maybe reconsider what you're doing. So last time I talked, I think I was trying to get the trans mounted, and you can use the OEM BMW trans cross member. However, it sits the motor pretty far back in the subframe, which is good because that's good for weight distribution and balancing of the car and a number of other things. But you can see I got it pulled forward. I've been taking the oil pan on and off, but because the engine is so far back in the chassis, even this front sump oil pan needed to be clearanced. And right where that curve was where the subframe was. So let me see if I can set this up for you. So basically the subframe chassis was sitting kind of right here. But for those that don't know, it makes a bit of a horseshoe. Hence why I beat the corners the way I did. So if you look at it from this direction, you can see I kind of beat the corners down and then just beat a channel on the back side of the sump. And this obviously reduces oil capacity. And this oil pan had baffles in here, which I totally destroyed the ones in the back, that's pretty obvious, right? Other problem is the oil pickup tube was supposed to sit really back here, but because I had to clearance it so much, I've had to heat that and bend it as well. So this is one of the more challenging parts of the build. I think we all knew that between motor mounts, trans mounts, and oil pan. That's one of the harder parts of doing the swap. Really, that's the biggest, probably the hardest part of doing the swap. Everything else, you could just, ideally, if you had the motor mounts and trans cross member, you could just bolt everything in. So that's what makes this build a little bit harder. But I've decided to switch my path from just beating the shit out of this oil pan. And I may not even be able to use this one, guys, unfortunately. This was something Giovanni recommended, and I'm not blaming anybody. This was my own doing, obviously, but it also depends on what engine and trans combo you're using, right? Depending on where your trans will mount up and where your oil panels sit and a number of other things. So no blame on Giovanni's part. I took a suggestion. It just didn't happen to work out. But I kind of knew this was going to be a challenge, and I talked about switching paths. So what am I going to do going forward? So you can see I started cutting a notch in here on the back. And this is, the crank pulley sits on this side, so the motor is facing this way. But I ran out of cutoff wheels on my grinder, so I'll have to pick some up at the home center tomorrow. But I'm basically going to cut off this back half and then basically weld kind of like a bend into it. And then I might end up just cutting off this front half and then welding more oil pan in the front just so I can have my oil capacity. From the factory, these LQ9 motors want to have 6 liters of oil in the motor, 6 quarts of oil rather in the motor. So that's something I got to consider. And then on top of that, because I was beating it, unfortunately, this flange has been bent. You can see it right here. It's got a bend in it. So I may be able to straighten that out. I may not. And it's unfortunate, man. But like I said, it's a mistake I made, and that's life, man. You just got to learn from your mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, but just learn from them. If you don't learn anything, then that's not okay. But like I said, I'm gonna cut off this back half. I started cutting right here, but I ran out of cutoff wheel. I also picked up a little welder from Harbor Freight. This guy was $200. It's a MIG welder. I watched a couple videos online about recommendations, and this is one that was pretty highly recommended for the price. $200, and then I paid another $8 to get a little bit better grounding clamp. I guess the one it comes with is kind of junk, so I picked this one up extra $8. And I've been practicing with it, but welding is something that's definitely an acquired skill. It's like playing sports, you know. It's something you have to do day in and day out to get good at. But I think it'll do the job. Yeah, if you guys can see it, I think it'll do the job. I might even do a review on this if you guys are interested. There's tons of reviews online, but maybe I'll just post my experience if folks are interested. But I've been using it so far. I've been using it on just a couple scrap pieces of metal here. I'm not a welder, but I've been giving it the old college try here, and it's going. I think it'll hold fine, and I think it'll seal things up. I just don't think it'll look too pretty. But like I said, guys, this really gave me an appreciation for professional welders. Welding is not an easy thing to have pretty, so I can definitely see why they make the money they do and why they're sought after, or why it's a profession, I guess. But yeah, guys, unfortunately, that's the only update I have for you. I've just been wrestling with this oil pan, and unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. I could get another one, which I may end up doing if this flange is so far out, which is unfortunate. But like I said, guys, that's the nature of the beast. Like, if you're gonna do something like this, that's kind of, sometimes that's how things work out. So that's really all I got for you right now, guys. I'm really not waiting on any parts. I'll go to the store tomorrow, get some more cutoff wheels. I'll try and get this back section cut out and then get it welded up. I picked up some pretty thin steel plate right here from Lowe's. You can see it's pretty thin stuff. I think it'll be doable. This is actually 6mm, which is actually very thick, and it is steel. So got my steel tester. So steel is ferrous, always remember that. But I'll go pick up some cutoff wheels tomorrow and then cut that back half off and then get the steel plate and start welding into my shape that I need to fit the trans cross member. And I guess the whole purpose of this is like, I could make a new trans cross member, or I could make a new oil pan. I guess I'm prioritizing the trans cross member with the hopes of having the transmission output shaft line up in the OEM position, which would line up with the drive, which would line up with the rear differential. So that's kind of my thought process. And then I'll fabricate the motor mounts and make everything fit around that trans mount, and then get my angles right once I'm able to bolt the trans in, I'll just manipulate the engine with the crane into the position I need, and then build motor mounts from there. So I needed to get a welder anyway, so I'm glad I got it. But yeah, that's it for now, guys. Anyway, take care, enjoy your weekend, and I'll try and get this rolling. Cheers.